رامة خلف السمارة 7.
Rama and her friends live in the al-Tah refugee camp in northwest Syria. All their lives on the edge of geopolitical fault lines. Now again wait for decision makers on the other side of the world, not just to dictate where they live, but what they eat.
لما ما بيكون عندنا خبز ما بناكل. بس لما بيكون عندنا بناكل.
Their father Rahib explains, for him the way Russia weaponizes food in Ukraine was road-tested in Syria. His front line, this refugee tent.
طبعا روسيا غايتها يعني تجوعنا يعني وبدها تجوعنا اكثر اذا بدها تسرق المساعدات يعني وهي اللي قتلتنا وهي اللي دمرتنا وهي اللي اخذت اراضينا وهي اللي هجرتنا.
To understand what he means, follow the food. This meal comes from Food Basket's humanitarian aid, delivered every month to Rama's camp.
عشان نشتري خبز وهيك صار كل شهر يعني كل شهر يعني.
Nearly 1,000 lorry loads of UN aid come into this region every month, supporting 2.4 million people. The lorries come in via Turkey. They travel through the only designated border crossing used for UN aid, which is still open into rebel-held northwest Syria, al-Hawa.
It's a massive aid operation, and the principle is that we're trying to make sure that we reach people on both sides of the front line. And it's an active war zone, and so the safest and most direct way of reaching millions of people has been across the border from Turkey.
That access is predicated on a UN resolution, which has to be voted on every year. Last time round, thousands of aid workers demonstrated against the possible closure of Bab al-Hawa. Russia, al-Assad's main sponsor at the UN Council, has been putting the squeeze on the number of aid corridors.
Initially, there were 4 crossing points. There was one from Jordan, one from Iraq, and 2 from Turkey. Since then, Security Council members have voted to decrease the number of crossing points. At the moment, we just have 1, but it's absolutely vital that we keep that one vital lifeline open.
In the coming days, the UN Security Council will in effect vote on what ends up on Rama and her friends' plates. Pawns of a sort in a political game that is deadly serious. Russia, with a seat on the council, holds the key. Will it continue to help Syria assert control over both all the country's borders and the flow of aid? This story is not just about food, though. The aid also arrives as medical supplies to places like Idlib city, just 30 miles from the border crossing, and what remains of a healthcare system in the rebel-held territory.
الأضرار ستكون على جميع أفراد المجتمع وبالأخص الأطفال بتأثرهم بمنع اللقاح عن أطفال شمال غرب سوريا حوالي 250 ألف طفل.
If Russia votes to close the border crossing, it will also affect access to wheat and ultimately to the Syrian staple of staples, bread. Which brings us back to Rama's tent and the prospect, according to her father, of bread riots if the border closes.
هي المجاعة تصير يعني وخاصة في إدلب وريف إدلب إن شاء الله ما تصير بس بدي يصير قتل وسرقة كثير ومشاكل وأمور سيئة للغاية يعني ومظاهرات واحتجاجات.
The worry is that with the war in Ukraine, Russia may decide to punish the West by vetoing next week's resolution, play a very cynical geopolitical game indeed. Or, who knows, may use it to start tentatively rebuilding bridges. In the meantime, Rama and her friends play another game. Imagine bumper aid baskets. Make-believe ones.
كل شيء بنشتهي عليه. يعني ايش بنشتهي؟
هيك شوكولاتة خلطة الرامة.
الحلو. لما جيبي هنا. حلو بده يجيك وسلة. بنحب يجيبوا لنا ألعاب نتسلى فيها بس هيك. لبس، أغراض. ألعاب، عيال.